left down the land with your left arm. Heart right to the this track.
Hello, I'm Joyce Woodworth. Welcome to the Spirit of the Heartland. For those of you who love flowers or love to garden, you are in for a real treat today. We're at the Marlene and Bob Kohner's home along the Mississippi River to tour their magnificent gardens. Marlene has a keen eye and a love for unusual plants. She designs her gardens in unique ways. Some gardens are whimsical, some are formal, and some are romantic, but I'm sure you'll all agree they're all beautiful. Join me along with her gardener as we stroll along to see these colorful gardens for ourselves. The Kohner home sits on the same footprint of the original E.L. King and Grace Watkins home, Rockledge, which was designed by famous Prairie School architect George Mayer. Rockledge, named after the rocky ledge of the bluffs above it, was torn down in 1987 by Grace and E.L.'s son, Bud. Several years later, Bud King's third wife, Betty Callender King, built the present one-story home on the same spot Rockledge occupied. Today we drive up the same driveway to the home now occupied by Marlene and Bob Kohner. On our right is the first flower bed we come to. This yard art is the first indicator of the whimsical style of the homeowners and the fun gardens they present. We're sitting here at the entrance of Marlene and Bob's home with Marianne Parrish, Marlene's favorite gardener. And I understand that you've been taking care of this property even way before Marlene moved into this home. Is that right?
Yes, I started, Betty King owned the home before Marlene, and I had worked with Betty for many years. Didn't actually work in this garden. Betty was only here about 5 years, but I've been gardening for Marlene here for probably about 15 years. She loves color, she loves whimsy, she enjoys shopping and patronizing various local artists and stuff like that. So that's kind of what you're going to see here. You see a lot of color. She's always loved flowers, and this garden is kind of the theme of it is the pink and green. So we kind of go with that color here in both the flowers and the cushions and the tables.
Well, I notice she uses a lot of ornamentation in her gardens.
Yes, she does.
What especially attracts me are these ladies with the hats on.
Yes.
Tell me about those.
Those were painted by a special friend of hers, Amy Gurnis. She's a very good painter. She's done a lot of painting, both interior painting. I think it was Marlene's brainchild, and Amy just sort of brought it to life. She cut those out of plywood and painted them, and then every couple of years they get new hats and new wigs and that sort of thing. So
Marlene sounds like a lady who really has fun with her gardens.
She does. She does. She's got lots of great ideas. She travels a lot, and I think just picks up a lot of ideas, is always very excited about trying new things and kind of going over the top with things in a good way. So.
Well, she certainly has beautiful plantings, but she's not afraid to use artificial flowers either, I see.
She has a couple of people, one being her daughter-in-law, Summer Kohner, that does a lot of the flower arrangements, and then some of the other arrangements, like the wreath and the baskets, are done by Sherry at Flowers on Broadway out of Winona.
Now tell me about the circle garden that's in front of the house here.
Some of the rocks that are used in this garden, the circle garden, were part of the original gardens here from the old site. There's a lot of New Guinea impatiens, ground covers. Marlene likes everything very full, very lush. She likes things kind of growing together, just sort of really full, lush, natural look. So there's quite a bit of annuals that go in there. We have tree roses that you'll see in the circle garden and some of the other gardens, and those are plants that we dig up every year and bury them because they won't survive above ground through the winter. She's got elephant ears, lots of color, and lots of interesting foliage. So We also try to layer stuff, so we do that with like the tree roses. So we get, we've got ground covers on the lower level, we have another level where we maybe have tree roses, and then we get into our, like ornamental trees. So it's very layered looking, very lush. So on a lot of the trees you're going to see hanging baskets. The gates she purchased from a woman in La Crosse. They're solid brass, very, very heavy, and that's just an example of Marlene. She's out shopping somewhere, she sees something really neat, and she brings it home and tries to figure out where it will go in her garden. She doesn't always have the spot for it, but if she doesn't have the spot, we'll make the spot. So, or make the building, sometimes it involves building the garden around it too. The other way we introduce color into the gardens is by some of her ornaments. She's got a lot of metal objects. Some of them are painted, some of them are not. She changes some of that from year to year. They maybe start out one way when she purchases them, and then next year they wind up being painted and just brought to life more. She's got several pieces that are bronze. Most of them are children. There's one is a little boy sitting in a chair. She's got another where a boy and a girl are playing with a hose. Marlene and her husband have a special place in their hearts for children. She's always helped a lot of kids throughout her life. Both her and her husband have. So that's kind of a special theme for her. I believe she's had over 30-some foster children in 18 years, as well as 3 children of her own. So she's always just been giving. She's just a really giving person. I think that's why some of the sculptures that she's got that are of children, it's very special to her.
Okay. Well, now, I know she has many gardens around the property. How about if you take us around and
Sure.
show us some of the features of those?
All right, great.
Okay. Now, how does she keep her hydrangeas blue?
Well, we will add a special fertilizer. It is actually really difficult to keep them blue in this part of the country because our soil is so alkaline. So you can see that they're kind of fading in and out between blue and pink.
Yeah.
Any type of acid fertilizer, sometimes it's mere acid, you either sprinkle them or do a liquid, but it's basically just adding acid type fertilizer. These beds were something that Marlene put in, and she refers to these as the wall gardens. They basically are kind of from here on out, the buffer between here and the woods. Again, the New Guinean patience are part of the backbone of the garden for color. This is a ground cover. It's called Lysimachia or moneywort, and it gives you that nice bright chartreuse color. It's kind of a nice contrast to the pinks and that going on. Also, the tree roses. She's got them in almost every garden. She's got some tree roses. You'll find a lot of containers that we plant up every year. Like this is a little wire basket with moss, and it's planted up with annuals. And so we have quite a number of those containers scattered throughout the garden. So every year they get planted with different things. They might wind up in different places. And we also have, again, a lot of garden ornamentation, and that gives you a punch of color too. Everybody likes their gardens a little bit different, and I've got customers that wouldn't want this much stuff, but this is what Marlene likes, and it's very beautiful, I think. So.
I do too, I agree. And of course we've got the red wing shoe here, Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Yeah, that was part of a United Way fundraiser that happened in Red Wing, Minnesota, and we added some boulders here and just created this little niche for the shoe.
Sure.
So,
perfect spot.
And again, it's just one of those things. Marlene's a very charitable person, and then she likes whimsical, colorful things. So it worked out really nicely.
Very nice. Well, let's move along the rock wall garden here and head back to a very special place back there.
Okay.
Now, I understand that lily was the theme of Rockledge. Are any of the old lily plants still around?
I don't believe so. Most of these were ones that Marlene has brought in. I think that a lot of the original plantings when the building was demolished were not saved. As far as I know, aside from there are some trees that were probably original, but the actual plantings, I don't believe that there would be anything here.
Okay. Now this is an interesting thing to do with the tree trunk. This is, I'm assuming, Marlene's
This
idea.
is Marlene. I'm not probably this tree trunk was on site, and that's one of the things that's unique to Marlene. She's always trying to think of, okay, well, how can I use this?
Sure.
This is called guara. It's an annual, and then asparagus fern, and these are verbena, and this is euphorbia. So, and these are all annual, so they will die off. Some more of the moneywort in through here, which you'll kind of see throughout. It's been a good ground cover. It likes this situation. It likes it's fairly moist up here. Does well in the shade, and it kind of brightens up the shady spots too.
Yeah, it's lovely. And she has a very unusual lily right here.
Those are calla lilies. Those are something Marlene picked up this spring at a nursery.
There's a very intriguing thing back there. The steps. My eyes are just drawn
Yeah,
to
now
those steps.
that would be part of the original rock ledge. In the fall and in the winter, there's beautiful rock ledges up there. So these steps, there is also a cistern that's up there, and these steps would have gone up to that.
Very interesting plants here. Wow, these must be the elephant ears.
Yeah,
that you've been
this
talking
is the
about.
elephant ear, and it's been very happy this year with all the rain. So it's actually gotten much bigger than it would in a normal year, but we've had a lot of rain, and so it's really enjoyed that. And
I love the variegation in the leaf itself.
we've got some larger hydrangeas over there that aren't blooming yet, have gotten probably about twice the size this year because of all the rain. So normally we don't expect them to get quite that large, but they've really enjoyed our summer this year. So and you can see too, we've still got a lot of moss on the wall. Marlene likes to leave that. I do have customers that would maybe want that pressure washed up, but she
Heavens.
likes it. She likes that look, and it's gives it a really natural appearance.
And I see there is a natural rock with the moss coming out of the garden right up there above
Yeah,
us.
and you can see too, she's got some of her garden ornaments up there. There's a
Sure.
big rusty moose and some flowers, mostly ferns up in there. That beyond this front bed, that it's all natural ferns that have been here. So
Lovely spot. And how would you fertilize this particular garden right here?
this, once we do a granular fertilizer in the spring before we do the annual planting, so that's just, we get sprinkled around. Then through the season, we'll do a water-soluble fertilizer, so that can go on like through a hose. The roses will actually get every 6 weeks, they'll get an additional granular fertilizer around the base.
Well, let's walk over to the shady spot over here because I see something very unique. I'm anxious to find out about it.
All right, great.
Now, this is a circle drive that goes all the way around this garden here. And you were telling me about the circle drive, that this actually was probably here when it was rock ledge, right?
Yes, this was. There's a huge, it's a little hard to see, but there's a huge rock behind here. This bed was part of the landscaping around rock ledge. So there was a turnaround here for rock ledge that went around this very large rock. There's also this spruce tree growing up in this rock that probably started as just a little seedling. It was not planted there, but obviously it's done very well there.
Well, let's go back into the depths of this circle drive and look at the hillside in here. And this rock is
Yeah, you can kind of see a little bit more of the rock here in the scope of it.
Wow.
I'm going to say it's probably about 5 feet tall in most places. It's probably almost 16 feet across and 8 to 10 feet wide. So it's really, really massive.
And of course, you've got the roots of the cypress coming right down here into the rocks. or
Yeah.
from out of the rocks. And this is very old wall, obviously.
Yeah, this would have been, again, part of the landscaping for rock ledge.
Wow.
And these trees that you see coming out of here were probably just seedlings that started. I'm sure they were not planted there.
What a spectacular thing to have in your backyard.
Yeah, really, really neat.
Yeah.
And again, all the ferns and the moss. I think lots of history there.
I love this spot. Well, let's wrap around here and see what goes on the other side.
All right.
Well, we can really see how this rock wall adds to the whole entertainment area that she has on this side of the house. Oh, and this table with the fresh flowers are just as fabulous.
It's just somebody's old dining table and chairs that she totally transformed. She added the tile. She had all of this painted. This was painted by
Nice.
Amy Gurnis, the lady that painted the ladies out in the front garden. This is Marlene's vision. She comes across an old table and totally transforms it and makes it bright and happy and colorful and whimsical. This is another one of our low planters that gets planted up every year, something different, just a variety of foliage.
She really focuses on pink, magenta, and chartreuse green colors, doesn't she?
She does, yeah, but then we get into, when we start going into this other area, we kind of switch to where we get some coral colors going on. And we do have another area that we'll get into that's mostly like yellows and oranges. But for the most part, you know, pink is a predominant color.
Right. Well, let's move on to her side patio that overlooks the Mississippi. We're coming through this arch. I love the pink all around. And this is, oh gosh, this is the most delightful setting. Just beautiful. I love her wicker furniture out here. It's so airy. Gosh, beautiful. And look at this fabulous view of the Mississippi River. Let's go over here.
She's got a stunning view.
Oh my gosh.
Every couple of years she does have somebody come up and they kind of cut the trees and sort of edit the view. Otherwise it will get covered over in time. So she just has a few trees cut to make sure that the view remains open. So, but yeah, very beautiful.
Lovely. And the frog over the pond is really darling.
This was a sculpture that she picked up in New York. She likes frogs, and so this kind of fit right in.
And the view of the Mississippi couldn't be more gorgeous.
Right, it's beautiful.
With the train going through right now.
Yep, very beautiful setting. So a lot of the ironworks that she's picked up, she'll have painted. The archway that we had just walked through, that was again something she found, but she had it painted. We've got another arch up over here where we've got climbing roses. That was also something she kind of painted to kind of go with her theme of more of a coral color here. It kind of goes with the cushion. She's very good at tying in all the colors and making it work.
What about this little guy?
Oh, this is a dragon topiary. It's actually just a wire framework. It's basically filled with sedums. There's hens and chicks and little blue sedums. So we kind of try to do sedums in different areas to kind of create the spines down its back and that sort of thing, and work with the different colors to make it interesting. But this guy will get pulled up in the winter and laid down on its side and buried in leaves, and it comes out again in the spring.
Well, let's walk through this archway and see where this takes us.
All right. These steps coming down through here are another area where we have some of the original landscaping that was part of Rock Ledge. These would have led down to a pool area that would have come from the original house. So.
Oh, wonderful. It's so nice that she was able to keep these rocks and keep the part that was Rock Ledge and add to her own garden.
Right.
Oh, this is a great view right from here. The side lawn of Marlene and Bob's home is very much the same as the Rock Ledge lawn established in the 1920s. The stone pillars we see in the background of Grace and E.L.'s daughter, Mary L.'s wedding, is still a familiar sight on Marlene and Bob's new colorful gardens.
This stonework is original. Quite a bit of the rock that's in this garden is original. The urns are actually a resin type urn, so those were not originally with the place.
And she certainly enhanced it with her whimsical daisies. Yeah, nice.
We're going more with yellows and oranges and that sort of thing, so it's a departure from up there where we had so much pink and the coral, and now we're getting into the yellow.
It seems like a lot of her gardens are in the shade, aren't they?
Yeah, because of the bluff situation, not very many of the gardens that get all-day sun here.
And you have the elephant ears in a pot. So those are actually a shade plant too?
They do fine in shade. They'll do fine in sun as long as you can give them tons of water.
I see something that looks like an elephant.
Yeah, this is kind of an elephant topiary. It's sculpted out of some arborvitae. I had a gentleman, probably, I'm going to say 10 years ago. He was from Sri Lanka, and he was working with me, and he was a good shrub trimmer. So in Sri Lanka, of course, they do have elephants, and he walked up to this particular shrub and envisioned an elephant.
Well, it's interesting. I'm sure you heard the term, how do you hide an elephant?
Right.
Well, she showed us how. It's perfect.
Yes, yep.
I love the way she's managed to keep all the wall stones well maintained. They look beautiful.
And it makes a really nice setting. She's had several weddings here, and it just makes a nice area to wander in and
Yes.
mingle in and just enjoy the outdoors.
I love her little stone basket by the cedar tree.
Yeah.
She's added her cushion to it. It looks great. You've done a wonderful job out here. And whose bicycle built for two here?
I don't think anybody actually uses that, but
Uh-huh.
again, another item Marlene picked up and found a place for.
Wow. This is great. When you look back up that hill, what a beautiful sight, isn't it?
Yep.
Very gorgeous. Now we've come really to the end of Marlene and Bob's property. You
Right.
were telling me the story about what's on the very corner of their property.
Yeah, down kind of below us, between us and where the highway is, there are some lion cages. And the Kings had, several lions that they kept there. There's some original rock work and areas where they could kind of get up on these platforms to snooze or do whatever.
Sure.
And I know I'm from Wisconsin, and I know many people talked about on summer nights being able to even hear the lions roar in Wisconsin. I'm not sure if that's true. Marlene was mentioning that dogs won't go near those cages. They get that there's still
the lion scent.
there's that
Wow.
scent that is still frightening dogs to this day. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I would really like to go to the front of the house and look at the patio at the front of the house.
all right, let's go.
Now this patio is right in the front of her house. It is so pretty out here.
Yes.
And again, it looks, she was mentioning that it was kind of her Mexican patio.
Right,
Mexican colors.
Right, she has the terracotta pots. We have a lot of cactus, and we've got lots of color out here. She's got the window boxes hanging on the railings, and they kind of coordinate with the hanging baskets.
Now all her hanging baskets and her pots along here all seem so lush. Give us some hints for keeping them lush like that.
A lot of fertilizer.
How often do you fertilize it?
They should really be done almost every week to get a
Okay.
lot of bloom, and because the hanging baskets, they need so much water just because they are a little contained garden.
Also, I know she was talking about she loves to bring her garden inside the home.
The floral theme that we have going on out here continues on inside. You feel like you're in a garden inside, you come out to a garden. I mean, I think it's just sort of the theme for Marlene's life. She just has always loved gardens, and it's just her way of brightening up her surroundings. So it's where she feels the happiest and most comfortable.
Well, let's go inside and finish up in her summer garden room.
Okay, all
All
right.
right. Truly is a garden inside of a home.
Yes, Joyce, we're here in Marlene's living room, and you can see we have florals going on in here as well. We've got that floral theme going. There's lots of dried arrangements and silk arrangements and florals. We've got a planter over here too, where we have, these are real plants and real ferns interjected with a few little moss topiaries and stuff. There's like a little bunny rabbit and turtle in there. Again, just whimsical, floral, fun, and that's Marlene.
Yeah. She has her garden all year long, doesn't
Yes, she does. Yeah, she's really brought the garden inside.
Just the bright airiness, the fabrics are so light and colorful. And the little settees here and there. I see she has a fainting couch over there and one
Right.
over here. And
Right.
the whimsical women on the buffet over here. Yeah, this is a lovely
Yeah.
room.
So great.
Springtime in Minnesota.
Right.
The little statuette sitting on the table sets the tone for Marlene and Bob's philosophy of life. He represents the 33 foster children whom they cared for over 18 years of their lives. Marlene told us the story of many of these children coming to their home with their clothes in a paper bag. Being affected by that fact, she initiated a nationwide fund to provide suitcases for all children needing foster care.
Marianne, thanks so much for taking us around on the tour of these wonderful gardens.
Sure, no, it's been a pleasure. So it's just fun to be able to tell Marlene's story, because I think she's a person that has helped a lot of people, and it's just nice to be able to just show off her place and kind of show off who Marlene is. So.
Sure, and how she expresses herself in her flowers.
Yes, we seem to make a good team.
Oh, you certainly do. The gardens are lovely. Thank you again for showing us around.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today in the beautiful Kohner Gardens. I hope you learned much about enhancing your own yards with colorful, hardy flowers and enjoyed the tour of one of the Heartland's most exquisite private gardens. I'm Joyce Woodworth. Please join me again next week. Till then, enjoy the spirit of the Heartland.